One of the highlights for me this year has undoubtedly been Ultimate Spider Man. Honestly, a bunch of what I see happening in the Ultimate Universe has been good. It's been a welcome change for me from what I've seen this year in Marvel Comics, or let's say the last couple years in Marvel Comics. It hasn't been the greatest, but the Ultimate Universe thus far, again, not all of it, but a lot of it has been good. I've enjoyed Ultimate Black Panther. I haven't kept up with the other titles as faithfully as I've kept up with Ultimate Spider Man. I think the only issue I'm missing right now, as far as hard copy, I think I'm missing issue number 11. I've read the digital copy, but I just don't have a physical copy. Even if I purchase a digital copy of a book, I'm going to get the physical copy. I'm a physical media guy when it comes to comic books. I haven't been able to transition to going fully digital. For me, that doesn't work. For some people, it does, but it's just not my thing. But Ultimate Spider Man has been like a chef's kiss of storytelling, art, and just putting it all together. Ultimate Spider Man number 12 is one of those books that doesn't have action, but what it does have, it does well. And it really does bring you part of the Spider Man family dynamic, the Parker and Watson family dynamic that you might not have thought you needed, but you really did need because you get like we already got to look into what makes Peter Parker what he is, like what makes him tick, why is he the way he is, how did he get to this point. We already know that for the most part. We've already gotten there. What this book does, this book gives you a backstory to Mary Jane, a more in-depth backstory in this comic book universe. So I got the cover with Mary Jane on it. There's another cover that has Spider-Man like this in uh the whole Santa Claus costume, but I prefer the Mary Jane cover myself. The book opens up with J. Jonah Jameson knocking on a door. There's a Christmas party at the Parker apartment. They enter and you find out that the house is filled. In town, you have Mary Jane Watson's sister, aunt, and her mother. And you find out some things about her mother and her sister, at least, that give you a little more insight into Mary Jane, who she is, and maybe why she is the way she is. Now, Mary Jane's mom is a widow three times over, and she seems to have her eye on Uncle Ben since Aunt May has passed away. And coincidentally, J. Jonah Jameson has got his eye on Mary Jane's mom. Now, I think Uncle Ben kind of realizes that Mary Jane's mom has a thing for him, but he's really not biting. I don't think she is his type. Now, the aunt, on the other hand, to me is a better match for Uncle Ben. And something tells me that's something that's going to be worked into the story at some point. So in the there's an opening salvo with Mary Jane and her mom. You see the tension and the bad blood between them. Mary Jane's mom seems to be the type of person that comes into town and really it's for her own purpose. It's not to see you. It's not because not that she doesn't care about you, but it's always with her own thing in mind, right? It's something of her own that's in mind. It's something for herself and not for you. And you see what kind of savage Mary Jane is, or Mary Jane's mom is. She is a savage. And I'll read you one interaction to kind of show you what I mean. So Mary Jane is cooking. Her mom's trying to help. She says, "Mom, I don't need your help. This is catered food. All I got to do is put it in the oven and warm it up." Now, listen to what her mom says. And I'm telling you, savage statement right here. Her mom says, "What I meant was, this is a lot for someone who doesn't cook, won't cook, can't cook, whatever it is." That when I heard, I was like, this is Savage. So there's more back and forth banter between them. Mary Jane is trying to figure out how long she's going to be in town. Her mom's like, "What are you trying to get rid of me already?" And she's like, "Hey, look, I'm just trying to, make sure that I can adjust accordingly." Really, the truth be told. And this is where this version of Peter Parker, Mary Jane, and storytelling in general resonates with someone like me. And I think Hickman might have understood. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. It's possible. But I personally believe Hickman has understood there is a generation of people who read comic books during the 80s and 90s that are still reading comic books. These people have had families, kids, in laws, family drama, life happen. And these are the people that will spend money on a good story. It doesn't have to be action wall to wall on every page. Story building and world building is a thing we understand. I'm not saying that the younger generation doesn't understand that, because that's not true. They understand it. They might not be apt to like that or enjoy that as much as someone from my generation. And again, comic books sold like hotcakes in the 80s and 90s. And I think they can do so now if if writers do what Hickman is doing with Ultimate Spider-Man. Man, just build a good story. Forget all the nonsense, forget all the fluff and other stuff, and just build a good story. And I think Ultimate Spider-Man does that. So you see again Mary Jane's mom eyeballing Uncle Ben. She's trying her best to get an inroad. And Mary Jane, like I said, lets her know, "Yeah, mom, that's not happening." Now, Peter, ever so quiet still, in this whole comic book, Peter hasn't said a solitary word. He says nothing. Mary Jane is venting to him. She's letting her know what her problems are. Her family's in town. Nothing. Now their daughter has Mary Jane's phone. She's playing games. Gwen Stacy keeps calling through this entire comic, and Mary Jane is like, "Just send it to voicemail." This is one of many clues that something is up. Now, if you'll go watch Rob from Comics Explain talk through this book, he did a way better job than I'm doing right now. I'm telling you, he did a better job. Very good breakdown. And he pointed out some of the same things I'm pointing out. So you got to wonder, okay, is Peter just being a really good husband, understanding that you got to listen to your wife? And this is why I say Hickman's writing in this is very good, because an adult that grew up, that had kids, that's been married, would understand sometimes your wife just wants you to listen, doesn't necessarily want you to solve anything, which kind of gives you the impression this is where this is going. Now you get to the interaction and the bad blood with her and her sister. Mary Jane's sister is a bit of a jerk. And this is the bad blood between her and her sister. Mary Jane's like, "Yo, you need to apologize." And she's like, "For what?" Mary Jane's sister, when she was marrying Peter Parker, told her, "You're making a mistake." And then when she had kids, she said, "Now you're making the mistake permanent." Yo, that is savage. But again, it's just like her mom. You see, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Ultimately, you find out her sister's in town because she's getting a divorce. She's find out her husband has been cheating on her for years. And this again, even more savage. Mary Jane is pretty much asking her what's going on. That's when this comes up, because Mary Jane knows, okay, something's up. I've asked you to visit for years. You haven't visited. Now you randomly pop up. What's wrong? Again, just like her mom, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. If she's there, there is a reason she's there. Mary Jane's mom popped up out of nowhere. Her sister popped up out of nowhere. It seems like her aunt is the only one that appears to maybe be a regular guest during Christmas. But the sister and the mom, not so much. So this is when her sister lets her know, "Well, you know, I'm going through a divorce, found out my husband was cheating. No, we can't work it out. Found out he's been cheating for years with multiple people, and people knew, and I'm the last to find out. And I thought if I come here, I'd feel a little better, because she thought Mary Jane's life would be worse. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is narcissism on level 10,000. Now you find out again, you're seeing this dynamic of the sister and the mom and how much alike they are. And you see that Mary Jane is like unlike them. So she probably was one of those people that maybe saw how her mom was growing up and said, you know what? I want to do something different. I don't want to be this way because I don't think this is a healthy way to be. Kudos to her. Now, this I'm gonna share some interaction with her mom and her sister. So the mom says, "Oh shush, you know you're happy to see me, and you're going to love what I got you for Christmas. Please," this is the aunt speaking, "please tell me it's not you moving in with me until you figure out what you're off to next." And she says, "It is exactly me moving in with you, spicing things up." You see how she sees it? Like this is spicing things up. Like she's doing her sister a favor by moving in with her. It's like, no, you're gonna be a burden. She says, "Get ready. Watson's on tilt. Drinks for lunch and doubles in the evening." And our sister says, "How are you able to be this way?" Oh man, that is a hilarious interaction. So you get some more of that family dynamic, and now Mary Jane is now coming to Peter again. She's got some complaints. Peter, not a single word. Mary Jane's talking, and she's like, "Oh, you know how somebody talks to you and you don't respond, but they're like in their head, they're responding for you." So she's like, "You're right. I'm probably worrying about nothing. Thanks. You're the greatest." Kisses him, goes off to doing what she's doing. Now remember, Gwen Stacy's still calling this whole time. Mary Jane and her sister go off, and this is kind of the scene where the sister tells her what's going on, and Mary Jane gets a little bit of an apology. Oh, also there's an interaction between, I almost forgot about this one. This is hilarious too, between J. Jonah Jameson and their son. He gave their son this book that he wrote, and the son was like, "Yo, I didn't understand one of these It's a book about relationships." He gives this I'm assuming their son is like maybe 13, 14. And it's like, why would you give this book to this kid? J. Jonah Jameson, I like his character because he seems to be very, I want to say unorthodox, but I don't know if unorthodox is the word. He is different in this book. He's that character that's just off the wall. Like, I can't believe you did that. And he's just like, what? Isn't this normal? Anyway, they have an interaction. Funny thing happens with the son where he curses. And I found this funny. This is a funny interaction. I'm not going to curse, but you'll get the point. He says, chapter 17, he was telling J. Jonah Jameson he had a problem with some of the book. One of the chapters, chapter 17, he had a problem with. So he's trying to figure out, okay, what kind of problem did you have? He said, "I don't know bleep, but I sure act like I do." J. Jonah Jameson says, "First off, watch your language. Second, absolutely, the old fake it till you make it. It's a gamble. But what isn't right?" So he's asking him, what isn't right about this chapter? What didn't you see? I'm not going to, finish that. You go to the next scene. And this is where Mary Jane and her sister really get to it. They're going back and forth. They're trying to work through this issue. Gwen Stacy calls again. Mary Jane tells her daughter, "Look, it'll be all right. Send it to voicemail." Her and her sister go back and forth. She's trying to get her sister to apologize. Her sister doesn't think she should apologize. Finally, she spills the beans. They talk back and forth about what's going on. Mary Jane says something that's actually kind of funny when her sister says her husband cheated. And this comes to being an adult, having a family, understanding the dynamics of family and the different degrees of sarcasm. So Mary Jane says, "Are you going to kill him?" Talking about her husband. "'Cause if you are, I could help. Dig a hole. Not the commitment of the of the actual act. Maybe I can drive." So she's trying to lighten her sister's mood a little bit. Like I said, they finally make up. Her sister realizes, she's like, I came here to see, you know, you had a bad life, but here it is. Your kids are great. Your husband is great. Life is good for you. Your job is good. Like, you're doing way better than I am. So her sister was probably one of those people that had her head in the clouds, thumbing her nose at everyone else. And so now it seems like things are calming down. Um, you see the kids are taking pictures of everybody, and still Peter in the background hasn't said a word. Gwen Stacy calls again, and finally Mary Jane's like, "This got to be important. I'm gonna talk." So she's like, "Yo, have you seen Harry? I've not seen Harry. Is Peter there? Does he know where Harry is?" So she's like, "Hold on, let's go outside." So she puts on speakerphone and she's like, "Yo, I haven't seen Harry in days. He was supposed to be here. He's not here. He's not answering his phone. What the heck is going on?" So she gets off the phone. She had on speakerphone and she's like, "Peter, did you not hear what she said?" Peter, she goes to touch him and there's some black stuff coming off of him. It's not Peter. It's his symbiote costume. He turns around and she's like, "What the heck is going on? You're not Peter. Say something." He says, "Merry Christmas." And then you go to the next scene and it's Craven the Hunter and he has Harry and Peter. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Now, I didn't cover Ultimate Spider-Man number 11, but if you'll remember, if you didn't read Ultimate Spider-Man number 11, Mary Jane asked Peter a question. She's getting worried because he's Spider-Man. She knows, and she's worried about safety. And she was like, "Look, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little worried." And Peter's like, "Look, you don't have to be worried. I will let you know when you have to be worried. We're all good right now." Yeah. It's always too late. It's not like you're going to have a warning sign that says, "Okay, be worried in about 3 days." No, it's just going to creep up on you and you're going to have no idea what was going on. And that's what happened. Craven the Hunter somehow found Harry and Peter, and it looks like he's been torturing them maybe for days. And Peter Parker's costume has been covering for him. Now, why the suit is not with Peter, I don't know. I don't know what happened. But this is turning out to be good. That's one heck of a cliffhanger to leave off on. And I'm actually super interested to see what happens with this entire Ultimate Universe saga coming for the next year, leading with Ultimate Spider-Man. I think things are just heating up. I think this is going to be really good.